My name is Corina Hierro, and I am a Global Startup Scout at Techstars. And welcome to today's digital event. We are going to have our lovely speakers, Jordan Warnement, Program Manager at Techstars Physical Health, Fort Worth Accelerator, and Gabby Rudd, an investment associate at Techstars Columbus, powered by Ohio State University, talk to us a little bit more about the inner workings of a Techstars Accelerator program, the resources that we provide at Techstars for accepted startups, and how to basically leverage the global network of investors and mentors and alumni once you are accepted into program. So without further ado, Jordan and Gabby, go ahead and take it away.
Hi guys, so nice to meet you. Jordan, I'll let you go.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Like Corina said, I'm Jordan Warnement. I am the program manager for the Techstars Physical Health Fort Worth Accelerator in Fort Worth, Texas. Excited to be here with you today. And Gabby, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys, so nice to meet you. Glad to see that you made it to our call. So I am the investment associate for the Techstars Columbus, Ohio State program. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because we have a presentation for you. All right. Can everybody see that? Cool. Yep. Okay. Jordan, I will let you kick us off.
Perfect. Just going to kind of high level give you an agenda of what we're going to be covering today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about and introduce our program in Fort Worth. Gabby will jump in and introduce her program at Ohio State. We're going to give you a brief overview of Techstars for those of you who are newer to Techstars or wanting to learn more about Techstars as a whole. And then we're going to take a deep dive into the Techstars Accelerator, what elements make up our 13-week program and our network and our numbers. So we also will be talking about best way to identify and choose the right accelerator for you and for your startup. And also what we're looking for in a startup when you're going through the application process and we're screening applications for our programs. We're going to talk about the application process and some dates, and then we're going to open it up to you guys all for Q&A to get your questions answered and see how we can be supportive in this process for you and your company. Next slide.
All right.
So like I said, I am the program manager for the Techstars Physical Health Fort Worth program. We are a completely in-person program in Fort Worth, Texas. In this picture, you can see our office space here where we run our accelerator. We this year are running our program that starts on September 7th with a demo day on December 4th. Our applications are currently open. So if you're looking to apply, we'll drop the link for the application in the chat at the end of the call. Our applications will be open until May 22nd. So we are excited to see your application if you're ready to apply. As you can see at the bottom of the slide, we're a partner program at Techstars. So we have four corporate partners: the City of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, the county that the City of Fort Worth is in, Goff Capital, which is a local real estate investment firm in Fort Worth, and then the University of North Texas Health Science Center. Next slide. So in our program, we have a pretty specific investment thesis focusing on the area of physical health care. And so a lot of people ask us, well, what is physical health? How do you define physical health? And we define that pretty broadly. But as you can see on the slide, we kind of have 6 points of our investment thesis, the kind of companies that we're looking to invest in our specific program. So the first is physical therapy, rehabilitation, and musculoskeletal. Software, platform technologies, hardware, wearables, and robotics, sports, athletics, and performance. Long COVID, which is kind of a part of that based on the funding that we received for our program from the city and the county during the COVID time. And then the last point of our investment thesis is a miscellaneous category. If our investment team thinks it kind of fits the category of physical healthcare, we want to look at it. So we kind of reserve that 6th point to kind of whatever we see fit for our program. Gabby, I'll throw it over to you.
All right. Hi, guys. I know I already introduced myself, but Gabby Rudd here, the investment associate for Techstars Columbus. So this is a brand new program that we're really, really excited about. We actually, our first day is on Monday. So we have 12 companies that we'll be going through, and then we'll do another one again in the fall. So our applications are actually open, similar to Jordan, for our next program. And that deadline to get an application in is May 22nd. And then again, similar to Jordan, we'll be starting in the fall, so September to December. With this Techstars Columbus program, we're completely in person. It is in partnership with The Ohio State University, which we're really, really excited about. They're a great partner to have and are providing us with a lot of resources, especially for our founders. We have an awesome network of mentors, and we're just super, super excited. So in terms of what we're actually looking for, we are sector agnostic, but we are specifically focused on software. So this can be health tech, fintech, ag tech, climate tech, cybersecurity, generative AI, deep tech. We really run the gamut. We're open to most things as long as it's software. So that is a bit about us. I will say also, even though this is a brand new program, I think we have a really, really strong team. Our MD, Tim Grace, was previously a founder, actually, that went through Techstars Chicago in 2016. He opened a fund in Chicago as well, so he's a pretty serious investor and is now joining us at Techstars Columbus. Myself, I was in Techstars Toronto for the past 3 years, and our program manager, Danny, is also she's a Techstars expert. She is coming from Techstars Austin, so we have a super strong team over here. All right, so I will kind of jump into a really brief overview of Techstars as a whole. So we actually were founded in 2006 in Boulder, Colorado. In 2007 was actually when our first accelerator opened up. Since then, we've created a lot of corporate partners that we run different accelerators with. We have had companies IPO, we've had companies be acquired. You can kind of check out this slide, but we just have continued to grow. And last year, we actually were named the world's most active seed stage investor by PitchBook. So we're continuing to grow in that way. Let's see, next slide. Jordan?
Awesome. So at Techstars, we like to focus on numbers and data. So on this slide, you can kind of see some of the numbers that we're really proud of at Techstars. So Techstars currently has 54 active accelerator programs. And we have over 9,000 founders that have gone through Techstars accelerators, with over 4,000 companies graduating from programs across the Techstars network. You can see in the top right-hand corner, the average first raise post-program for Techstars founders is $1 million, and with a total lifetime raise of $26.6 billion. These are numbers that we like to highlight that we're really proud of. These are Techstars-wide numbers. So just kind of take a look at those and see the power of the results that have come out of Techstars programs. Next slide. So at Techstars, we have put together a network of amazing support for our founders. And part of what you get as a Techstars company when you go through our program are an insane amount of perks. So you can see some of them here on this slide. Some of these are our global network partners, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but we have perks for our founders everywhere from HubSpot for startups to Amazon Web Services to Stripe to LegalPad. So these are the perks that you get if you're brought into a Techstars Accelerator program. So we have over 300 perks valued at over $4 million that we offer to our companies as they go through our programs. And I'll talk a little bit about this more as we go on. But we have so much support from these huge organizations that really just want to help entrepreneurs succeed. So they offer us these perks, and it's part of what we offer when our founders go through a program. And we really take a deep dive throughout the program on what these perks can do for our founders and how they can help them grow and scale their companies. Next slide. So one of the phrases I always heard when I first came to Techstars was the power of the network. And I was like, what does that truly mean? And I quickly realized how strong the network is at Techstars. I know we kind of already took a look at some of the numbers that I had on a previous slide. But the numbers represented here, 54 accelerator partners, over 20,000 investors, over 4,000 mentors that are active currently in our network. over 9,000 graduated founders, 300 plus corporate partners. These numbers all represent the insane amount of support that the startup in the center of all of these numbers represent, and how much support they get going through our programs. While Gabby and I work on individual accelerators, we have the power of the network behind us, that if you need an introduction to an alumni member or a corporate partner or a mentor that's not specific in your program that you're in, we have the ability to connect you to those people. And now being at Techstars for over 2 years, I've really seen what that statement, the power of the network, truly means. And so I just, one of my favorite things that I've learned at Techstars for being here and for the last 2 years is just the willingness of our network to give first. That's one of our mantras, because we give first to help entrepreneurs succeed. And I think these numbers really represent the immense amount of support that our corporate or our portfolio companies get when they go through a Techstars Accelerator. Next slide. So here I just wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into our accelerator programs and what that process and program looks like. So in our programs, we accept between 10 and 12 companies into each class. What does that mean for you in this 13-week program? So we like to call it an intensive boot camp for 13 weeks. And some of our founders will ask us as we go through the sourcing process, how involved and committed do I have to be, and does my team have to be? And we like to tell our founders, this is a full-time commitment, just like a full-time job would be, for 13 weeks. And a statement that my managing director always says when founders kind of have that reaction of like, wow, I'm not sure that I can handle that intense, rigorous commitment while I'm still running my startup and building my startup. And what he says is your relationship with Techstars and your commitment to this company is just 3% of that is the time you will spend in the actual accelerator program. The remaining 97% of your relationship with Techstars is post-program, the amount of support that your company will receive from not only our team, but our portfolio services team for the life of your company. So while that 13-week intensive boot camp seems like a large commitment, it's such a small blip in the amount of time that Techstars will be behind your company, helping you grow, scale, and either exit or continue to grow over 5-10 years. So we kind of remind them that 13 weeks goes really fast. And at first it might seem overwhelming and chaotic and like a lot of work. By the time you get to demo day, our founders look back and they say, wow, I can't believe how fast that just went. And I wish I could go back to day one and do it all over again. So that's just kind of a deeper dive into what the process and the setup looks like there. Next slide.
Yeah, I would just love to echo that as well, that I think our founders, especially at the very beginning when it starts, they're like, oh my God, this is a lot. And then by the end of it, they're asking me what more workshops they can do and what other things that they can get involved in after it's over. And they're like, oh, we miss you sending you an email 20 times a day. So it goes by really, really fast.
Really fast. All right, so I just kind of laid out the information on this slide to show you kind of how we scale throughout the program month by month. So our first month in program is really a deep dive into mentor engagement. My specific program, we run something called Mentor Magic or Mentor Madness in week 2. It is like speed dating on steroids with mentors. So we take our companies and we do 20-minute sessions with our mentors. And it's over a week-long period. And after that process, our founders are able to select lead mentors, which Gabby will talk a little bit more about in the coming slides, but really focus on mentor engagement, getting paired up with mentors that have experience that can help you scale based on what you're growing or what you're doing and what you're building. And then month 2, we kind of move into the execution and growth phase of your company. So lots of business development workshops and one-on-ones. We bring in lots of workshop hosts and lead mentors to help you to build and grow during this month period. And then month 3, we really move into the preparation for fundraising. Lots of pitch practice and preparation for demo day and beyond that, when you exit program and just start to focus really on those meetings with investors to get funding. On the right-hand side, you can see some elements that go into our programming. So we at Techstars do something called CEO and CTO meetings, where all the CEOs and all the CTOs within your program class will meet together as a group. You'll go to a coffee shop or even meet virtually to just kind of take a deep dive into what you're working on, struggles you're having in program, and you kind of get to share information in that close-knit group of CEOs or CTOs to kind of support each other through that process. We have founder stories. So we bring in entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs that usually have a close relationship with your programming team. And our founders really enjoy this element of program. These sessions are not recorded. It's a very in-depth, deep fireside chat with successful entrepreneurs who come in and share their story. They share the highs, the lows, and they really give the founders in the program an opportunity to feel like someone can relate to the struggles they're going through. And it really is a great opportunity for our entrepreneurs to connect on a deeper level to people who are going through what they're going through, to tell them it's okay, it's hard, and here's how to deal with it. Here's things that worked for me, that didn't work for me. So those have been very successful elements of the program. We do all hands meetings, which are pretty self-explanatory with your program. We get together, we talk about the agendas for the week, what to prepare for. Our program team spends an insane amount of time preparing our founders, everything from scheduling to preparation for meetings to what to wear, what to bring, and what to expect. Our managing directors spend a lot of time with our founders doing deep dives and one-on-one meetings throughout program. In my specific program, we have those twice a week with our MD and founders. That's just dedicated time with the managing director and the teams. We have lots of workshops and talks. We have mentor office hours and lead mentor office hours. We, in week 6, start what we call pitch practice in preparation for demo day. So the founders sit down with our program team and sometimes Techstars alumni or guest pitch judges to really perfect and hone in your pitch and your pitch deck. We have KPI reviews. We help you set goals for your company and we review those goals and give feedback on that. Another element, one of my favorite parts of the program, is our alumni panel. So my team hosts this in week 1. It's a great way for us to bring in alumni from our programs from past years to give the founders their story from Techstars, what helped them, advice for how to best leverage the 13-week process, and just general entrepreneurial advice. In my program specifically, my managing director and I step out of those panels so that the founders can give the current Techstars program founders their real advice. Like, here's what's really going to happen. Here's what you should really expect. Here's the best way to leverage the program team during this 13-week process. You know, they'll tell you how to create the right kind of relationships, the right kind of resources to utilize while you're in program. And our founders really love that panel. Like I mentioned before, at Techstars, we have global network partners who are, a lot of them are exited entrepreneurs and even some Techstars alumni who join these GNPs to help support entrepreneurs. So they will come and make visits throughout program to host happy hours, lunches, workshops, and their key focus is not selling you on a subscription or a service. It's to help you to build your company. They spend about 10% of the time talking about what their company has to offer, and the remaining part, they're there to support our founders. They are great. They give us opportunities for some fun time throughout program. We've had some GMPs before take us to do, bowling excursions, or like I said, happy hour events, dinner, things like that. So our founders always really love our GMPs. We host a founder retreat. Our program does this in week 2. Gabby, I'm not sure when you guys do this, but last year, we had so much fun. We took our founders to a lake for the weekend, and we just honestly completely unplug. We cooked breakfast together. We cooked dinner together. We went on the boat. We had a bonfire, and it's just a great time to unplug and get to know each other as people, and talk about struggles, things that are happening in our family. And we do this intentionally in the beginning of program to kind of unite us as a group and build that family element that goes into what makes Techstars programs so special. I recently talked to one of my alumni founders who said that the founder retreat at Techstars was one of the top tier moments of his life. And that quote just really stuck with me because it made me realize how important those times where we just check out as a program really are, for our founders to learn to trust each other and lean on each other and honestly just have a good time during a very stressful 13-week process. And then finally, we have family dinners and events with our partners. So everything from a kickoff party in week 1 we do with our corporate partners and our local community to welcome our founders to Fort Worth and to kind of get to know the community, the resources that are out there, and just make everybody feel very welcome and excited for the process. Gabby, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, and I wanted to add, because I was thinking about this while you were talking about the CEO and CTO meetings, is the relationships and during the retreat and all of it really, but the relationships that you end up building with the other founders that are a part of your program. I think that being a founder can be a really lonely journey, unless you have co-founders, but it's like when you're going through this shared experience as founders and going through an accelerator, that these people that are in that class with you, like really, really know what it's like and what you're going through. And so the relationships that I see built during these classes and even with alums, you spend every day together. And so you become really close. I've had founders, one of the cutest things that's happened is like I ended up getting a text on Christmas wishing me a Merry Christmas with 2 of my founders in a completely different country. They worked for different teams that went through program together, and they're not in the same company, but they spent Christmas together. Like that's how close these people are getting with each other. So it's beautiful to see. And sometimes the companies that you build don't work out and you end up starting a new company with somebody that you went through a Techstars program with, like these relationships end up going, I think, much farther beyond just Techstars and just that 13-week accelerator program. So
Absolutely.
I will jump into sort of what it's like to work with mentors. So there are a few different ways I think that mentors can participate, but I think also mentorship is one of the main reasons why founders choose Techstars. So Jordan was mentioning a little bit about mentor magic or mentor madness. It kind of depends on which program you go through of what terminology they use. I think usually the older ones tend to use mentor madness, like the original slang, but it has changed to mentor madness or mentor magic for a few. So some mentors that participate in that mentor magic role, where it's these fast-paced mentoring sessions where you meet with a bunch of different mentors over the course of a week. Some are more customized one-on-one meetings that your program team would arrange for you. So we have mentors that are experts in a lot of different areas. So some might be experts in financial modeling, some might be design experts, some might be marketing experts. And so really depending on the pain points that you're struggling with in your own business, then we can connect you with the correct mentors that are going to be able to help you the most in that area. I also think depending on the industry that you're working in, so if it's a health tech or if it's a fintech, then we have different people that are experts in that industry who are also able to help you more in these customized one-on-one meetings. One thing that our mentors do as well is specialized workshops, which Jordan touched on, of kind of what a program looks like, is that we'll hold lots of different workshops throughout that 13-week accelerator. And those will usually be done by someone in our mentor network. Lastly, with our lead mentors, so that's usually someone, whether you met them during Mentor Madness or during one of these customized one-on-one meetings, that then end up becoming a lead mentor for you, which is like your dedicated person or multiple people that meet with you usually weekly throughout the 13-week program that can continue to help you in depth and guide you throughout program and usually after. Obviously that's not always the case, but most of the time it is, because you're also building a relationship with those mentors throughout our program that you end up continuing to stay in contact with them after the program is over as well. Jordan, anything that you would like to add about mentors before I jump to the next slide?
No, I think that's great.
Okay. Okay, so Jordan had also mentioned like Techstars for Life. So this is just sort of the beginning. This is the 13 weeks of our accelerator. And then you go through demo day where you're pitching your company to investors in the community. But that relationship continues on with Techstars afterwards. So we have a whole portfolio services team, as well as your managing director and your program team, people like Jordan, people like myself, who are continuing to stay in contact with you. I have founders reaching out to me constantly, just keeping me up to date with what they're working on, or if they want to set up a one-on-one, that we still continue that relationship. And you still always have access to the network. So outside of just your relationship with your program team and the other founders that went through your class, as Jordan mentioned, we have a huge Techstars network. We have a tool called Tulip. And so that is actually, if you're a Techstars founder, you get access to that platform and you're able to see all of the different people that are a part of our network, and you can either have an introduction made to them. So whether it's another founder who went through Techstars Paris, or another investor or another mentor for a different program, then you have access to all of these different people at your fingertips. And we're always happy to also make those more warm introductions if needed. So Jordan, anything to add?
No, I think that's great.
Okay, so choosing the right program for you. Okay, so we've mentioned we have a ton of different programs all around the world. And so we get asked this question a lot of how do you choose the one that's right when you're on our website and you're figuring out what to apply for. So my recommendation is to really look at the program teams for each program. So looking at the MD, what is their skill set? What is their background? Are they investors? Were they previous founders that have exited a company? Are they super connected to people that you might want to be connected to? And figuring out how you can leverage that team while going through program. The other thing is geography. So we are shifting more to a lot of in-person programs, which was originally the case, but when COVID happened, that changed a little bit. We're starting to go back into the model of being in person. So not everybody can just travel somewhere else for the 13 weeks of our accelerator. So if you have a program in your city, go there. But also you can choose the location. So I've had some it might be a fashion startup, and obviously New York is a big fashion hub. So New York might be the right program for them based on the industry that they're building a company in. The final thing that I'll say is industry focus. So programs like Columbus were industry agnostic, except that it needs to be software. Some programs like Jordan's are more tailored to specific industries. And so also looking at the industry focus of the different programs to see which one do they have an expertise in and what are they looking for? Like, what are we looking for when going through your application? Jordan, anything to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say here also at Techstars, we have a great program called Techstars Anywhere. And so that specific program has elements of in-person meetups, but also virtual meetups as well. So if you aren't able to attend an accelerator program for all 13 weeks in program, which some founders are not, Techstars does offer that program, and they, I believe, meet 4 times in person throughout program. So they travel to different cities throughout the US to be present in person. And then the remainder of the program is virtual. So if that's what works for you and your company and your team, that's also an option at Techstars as well.
Thanks, Jordan. Really appreciate it. Okay, so what are we looking for in a startup? So team is a huge one. So who are you? What do you do? Do you have industry expertise in the thing that you're building? Do you really care about this product? We want to know also how you guys are working together as a team. I'm so sorry. This lady is insane. Okay, so how do you as a team communicate with each other if you're not a solo founder? So we want to be able to see that. Market, so is it the right time for what you're building? Is the market big enough? What kind of impact is your company going to make? I think market also includes competition. So do you know who your competition is and how are you differentiating yourselves from them? Like if you're building a company in a really saturated market, how are you different? And how are you going to beat the competition? We need to know that. Progress. So I always like to continue communication with people who have applied, even if they didn't get in the first time, because usually you'll get in the second time or the third time. I've seen that happen over and over again. So I want to stay in communication with founders to see what does your progress look like. There is actually, if you're applying, there's a spot for notable traction. I see people leave that blank a lot, and I think that it does yourself a huge disservice. Even if you're pre-rev, notable traction doesn't have to be revenue. So you can say your product development or how many users you have signed up on the wait list, or how many people do you have following the Twitter page that you have. Like it can be anything, but we want to see that you've done some progress that validates your core assumption of what you're building, that it's something that people want. And finally, the idea. So what are you working on? We care about ideas. Obviously they pivot sometimes while going through a program, but it matters. So all right. And Jordan, anything else?
I was just going to say a big part of what my individual team looks at, me and my MD care a lot about, is coachability. And so are you coming to Techstars for the right reason? The reason why the first 3 investment points of what we look at in a startup is team is because we want to know that you're going to come to Techstars and really use what we have to offer, tap into the network, be open to pivoting and change. Techstars is a mentor-driven accelerator. And so our mentors are here to help you really dissect your company and see how you can best build that company and accelerate that company. And part of that is being coachable and adaptable to what these industry experts are telling you. We have interviewed founders before where right off the bat, my managing director and I both said, this is a great company and could be a great investment, but the founder just wasn't coachable, wasn't open to coming to Techstars for the right reason. So if you're looking for help and you are looking to scale your company with the support of an insane mentor network, then Techstars is the place for you.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously can't speak for everybody, but I think that on all the teams that I've worked on, we're more interested in choosing kind people that we want to work with who are coachable versus a company that's doing really well, but totally closed off to any ideas that we're going to bring to the table. So,
right.
Okay, this is kind of continuing to go on with what we were just talking about, but what we're looking for in a startup. So also companies that are able to grow quickly and that you have a really deep understanding of your customers' pain points. Understanding that is so important to then execute on. If you are creating a business that no one wants, then that's not helpful. Like you need to actually know what your customer or potential customer is struggling with so that you can be that solve for them. I think I've talked about this enough in terms of what we're looking for. Any additions? And also we're going to open up for questions pretty soon here. And so we can dive more deeply into that as well. Okay, so final thing. So application process, I touched on this a little bit. You can fill out an application for any of our programs on our website. Our applications, for the most part, open twice a year. It sort of depends on which programs you're applying to. Applications are open right now for many of our programs. They opened on Monday. So if you're interested, check out our website, get an application in. Usually after submitting your application, our teams, so like people like myself, Jordan, MDs, and others are going through each individual application to see if there's a mutual alignment. If there is, then usually we'll schedule a first round interview that will usually be with someone like myself on the investment team. So I'm the investment associate for our team. I would do a 30-minute interview to kind of learn more about your business. If that goes well, then you would likely have a second round interview that's more of a deep dive with a managing director with the program that you applied for. You can apply for 2 programs at a time, I believe. Corina, that's correct, right? No more than 2.
Yes, yeah. You have a primary selection and a secondary selection. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so you could get interviewed for both. You could get interviewed for neither. You could get interviewed for one or the other. And other program teams will also have access to your application. And so you might get reached out to by a program team that you didn't apply to, but saw your application and is really interested in you because they saw your application in the portal. Sometimes there would be more than 2 initial interviews in case we want to learn more, or there was someone on your team that couldn't join. So that could happen. Usually it's these 2. And then if all of that goes well, then we would put you into our screening committee, which is sort of the final interview. It's a 15-minute Q&A with essentially a panel comprised of Techstars managing directors and external investors that we have in our network, where we would ask you questions. Essentially, it's like a judging kind of panel, and then we make our final decisions from there and let you know if you got in. So that is how the application process goes, and I'm happy to answer additional questions on that because I'm sure you guys probably have them, but that is the end of our presentation. So I will stop sharing my screen and can open the floor.
Awesome. Great job, Jordan and Gabby. Thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions here in the Q&A box. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one from Daniel. And he asks, Jordan, does the Fort Worth Physical Health Program focus exclusively on human health, or does the team also invest or develop pet tech companies? Thank you so much.
That's a great question. We are focused fully on human health. I wish we were investing in pet tech health, but human health, to answer your question.
Great. We do have a couple questions regarding, do you invest in startups in the UK, South America, Africa?
So I can jump in a little bit on this. So there are definitely certain countries that we are not legally allowed to invest in based on SEC guidelines. I can say for the UK and for South America, yes, we are able to. 2 of the companies in my last cohort were from Brazil. So we definitely do take South American companies. And I can also just kind of touch on the next question about the visa application. So I don't know if I'd say we help with your visa application, but we can write you a visa startup recommendation for your visa application. And that usually helps.
Awesome. Jalen asks, can more than one founder to startup attend the program? How does attendance work out with co-founders in program?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one. So we encourage your whole team to come if possible. That typically is not possible. Usually companies send one representative or they transfer in and out throughout the program. We saw a lot of that in our past program, just based on conferences that founders were attending. But my specific team, we really put an emphasis on making sure someone is here at all times. If you're going in and out of program and you're missing workshops, you're missing events, you're missing key mentors that are coming in to meet one-on-one with the founders, you're not maximizing your experience during the program. So we really encourage that one person from your company is here at all times. That's kind of part of our screening process at Techstars Physical Health, is asking, like, are you able to be here, or someone's able to be here from your program at all times throughout the process.
Awesome. Corey asks, thank you for this. Is a remote program structured the same as an in-person program? So how does a different format program work out?
I can't speak, Gabby, I don't know if you can. I can't speak necessarily 100% to a hybrid or virtual program because I've never run one at Techstars. Like I said before, my program is completely in person, but I do work closely with the Techstars Anywhere team, and they do a great job of maximizing the best that they can, building a program that's both in person and virtual as well. But I personally am a big advocate for in-person programs because I just think that the ability to connect with the other founders in the cohort and the mentors and the community and the partners is so much stronger if you're in person. My program, we host so many events that are networking events, and our mentors love to come in person. And so I just don't, in my opinion, I think that you maximize your experience at Techstars if you're in person going through the program.
Yeah, and I'll add on my experience going through Techstars. It was a hybrid program, and hybrid can look different for different programs. Our format was the very first week we were fully in person, and also the very last week for demo day and preparation and everything else. And the rest of the time it was fully virtual, with one time that we did meet up and we actually went to the to a cabin in the mountains here in Colorado. But I agree with you, Jordan. I love the in-person experience, and just, you know, community building in person is definitely hits different. Another question from Jalen. Is there any preparation material sent out to founders prior to attending the program, such as places to stay, recommendations, car rental recommendations, items to bring, etc.?
Yeah, so I can jump in here, and Jordan also might have something different to say about her program, but yes, absolutely. We do have materials like that. Those usually come from your individual program teams and not from Techstars Central as a whole. But our program teams personally, at least for Columbus, we have an entire Notion dashboard specifically for that. So different Airbnbs to stay in, different rental cars, different places to get dinner. It runs the gamut, but yes.
Yeah, we have a similar Notion page, and I've made contacts with local apartment complexes, Airbnb options, VRB options, everything from travel from the airport to how to get around on public transportation. I kind of go above and beyond for my founders because it's really important for me as a program manager to make sure that my founders have a good experience here in Fort Worth, Texas. I care a lot about this city. I live 5 minutes from our office. So it really brings me joy to see them not only have an amazing experience at Techstars, but also leave Fort Worth, Texas with a great experience for what they got in the city. And I've run 2 classes here in person in Fort Worth, and our founders love Fort Worth, Texas. So if you've never been to Fort Worth, come see us. It's a great place to live and to visit.
Absolutely. And program managers, I mean, when we were going through program, I loved like the coordination, how informative they were, how communicative they were, because there's so many things going on at the same time that I think it's crucial to be able to have that open communication for locations, for what's going on, day-to-day basis. Very, very important. What does Techstars think about solopreneurs? So does Techstars accept solo founders?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure, other than saying yes, like we're open to all of the above. I think it kind of goes back to what we're looking for in terms of coachability and how much you care about what you're building. And if you have the expertise and sort of the grit and determination to do what you're building. So not having a co-founder is not a deal breaker. I do think that if you're building something really highly technical and you don't have those technical capabilities, I think that could be a red flag to us that that's somebody on your team that you might need in the future, but it's not a deal breaker.
Awesome. And can we talk about the ticket to entry or the cost for Techstars, if you want to add in, you know, something about the investment terms?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually it's we have a standard deal, which is on our website, and either
I can go ahead and send that.
somebody can put the deal in the chat. But it's $120K investment, usually for around 6%.
Awesome. And I went ahead and sent that
Thank you.
information in the chat if you guys
It's
want.
always easier for you guys to read it directly and also have it after the call versus just listening to me and trying to remember what I said. So.
And if you have any questions regarding the investment terms, you can also reach out to startups@techstars.com, and I'm happy to answer your questions or connect you to the right people. All right. So let's see. Do you accept startups that have no traction? So what does that look like? How do you stand out in your application?
I would say like traction, like I said, can look like a lot of different things. And so you can be pre-revenue and still have traction. And that could be user signups, or people added to your wait list. And so it's really like proving that people want what you're building. I will say that if, and each program team is different, you know, like they're looking for different things. I think sometimes when you're still like in an idea stage and that's sort of all it is an idea in your head, then maybe it's better to go through something like Founder Catalyst versus our accelerator programs, to sort of get the groundwork laid before going through an accelerator. Because once you're going through an accelerator, we're trying to like rocket launch the growth that you already have versus starting from the bottom and like building the foundation.
I will say too that a lot of what my team looks at, if there isn't a ton of initial traction, is the team. Who's the founder? What is their background in? I know that, you know, we've invested in companies before that didn't have a ton of initial traction, but our team was really invested in the founder. And so that kind of, to Gabby's point, it just kind of depends. We'll look at different elements and kind of weigh out, you know, what you have to offer.
I have a question from Larry asking, how should founders prepare for those interviews? So how do you prepare your team? How do you prepare as a founder of a company for those, you know, interviews, the first one, second one, third one? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I would say coming in confidently, coming in with a deck, coming in, I don't know if prepared is the right word. I think practicing a few times, even just to yourself or to your team. If you do have a team and you're not a solo entrepreneur, kind of deciding ahead of time, I think, who is going to cover which slides, so that we can see that you guys have good communication styles on your team. I think it goes back to like being able to really showcase what you're building, having a competition slide, having a traction slide, having your problem statement, having the solution, to what are you building that's solving that problem, and really why you want to get in, because that will likely be a question that we'll ask.
I think one thing for us too is the founders that have done a great job going through if you make it to screening period, or even in those initial conversations, is talking about why our program is attractive to you, how you plan to or want to work with our corporate partners, and to Gabby's point, why you're applying to Techstars, what you're looking to get out of the program. And also, sometimes people forget to talk about their team. Introduce your team, introduce any advisors or mentors that are heavily working with you and helping shape your company. We always want to see that information in your deck, so that we can understand who's helping build company.
Yeah.
And
I also,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Gabby.
I was just gonna say, like, obviously you're trying to like pitch your business and sound really great, and that is wonderful, but also like we're here to help you. And so I think knowing your pain points, like obviously you don't know what you don't know, but kind of knowing areas that you're struggling in and why you think that we can help you, whether that's you really need mentorship, or you are trying to fundraise, or you're trying to have more customer acquisition, like whatever that thing is that you think that we could really help you with, tell us, because that's what we're here for. And that's what we would be doing for the entirety of the program and after, is that we're here to help you. So I think it's helpful for us to know where we can lean in.
And Gabby and Jordan, could you expand on maybe some founder mistakes to avoid? Maybe something that you've seen recently or have seen often?
Yeah, for sure. I think I sat on a screening committee recently, and a founder, they had 5 minutes to pitch their company, and a founder spent the entire first majority portion of the pitch pitching himself. And while to our point, we want to hear about the team, you know, you want to make sure that you break up your pitch into categories so that you maximize that 5 minutes of time. And so I found myself after that wanting to I didn't really understand the company. I was like, I have a clear picture of the founder, but I have not too much of an idea of what he's doing. And so I think, making sure that you don't spend too much time in one category. And then also just for me, and I think probably Gabby, like I'm big on preparation, being on time, showing up prepared. You get such a small amount of time. And so sometimes founders don't always come prepared, don't show up on time. And then, we get thousands of applications for our programs. So we don't have a lot of time to spend on each one. So if you don't come prepared always, it may just cancel out your chances and you may have to consider applying the next year. So that would be my advice.
1000%. I also think like, I don't know, trying to come in with a good attitude. Obviously, like we're all allowed to have bad days, but I think that when someone joins a call with us and their camera's off and then their camera's on and they're not really paying attention and they're sort of answering emails on the side and like don't really seem like they want to be there, then like that doesn't give me a huge vote of confidence that you're going to act really engaged when you're in program. So just like Jordan said, I think just coming prepared.
Sure.
We even for screening committee, we usually do a green room where you go in and make sure all of your tech and your deck and everything is set up ahead of time. So you should go in ready to rock and roll. I've still seen people not. So just coming prepared, really important to us.
Great. Yeah, preparedness is key. Corey asks, in your experience, how do co-founders or founders address being married with families, having jobs, and still honoring the importance of in-person events? So how do you manage your time essentially?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I can speak to my specific program. Family is number one for us. My managing director has 3 young children. And so we always put family first. And I think that I'm speaking from a program management position. So one of my main focuses is making sure that I set up my founders for success that are accepted into our program. Like I said before, I spend a lot of time making sure that they're prepared, they have what they need. And I work with them on, if they have a roadblock or something comes up, like how we can help support them. We had kids come to visit in the past program. We had spouses come to visit. We always welcome visitors in our space. And if there's any way that we can help facilitate that so that you can participate in program and still be present with your family, that is one of my main focuses. And I know my managing director, that's important to him as well. One thing I will say is, as I mentioned before, is if you have a co-founder or somebody else on your team that needs to come in for a week while you go home for a family event or whatever it may be, we do work with you to make sure that you can still be present in program. We do have founders that have to step out for something, and we do try our best to make sure that all of our workshops and events that we can make virtual are available virtually. But for my specific program, just as a reminder, it is a fully in-person program. So we can't not have your company represented for a whole week of program. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when you're, to Gabby's point, selecting a program that works for you, looking at the elements that you're committing to, so that you can maximize your experience while you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at least like for us and in the past, so I've been a program manager for the past 3 years. Now I've moved into more of an investment role, but to Jordan's point, like we're also the calendar that we've built, you guys are getting access to way in advance. And so you can kind of see what's on there, what days you're going to have different things scheduled. And then it's harder, obviously, for solo entrepreneurs that then like you're the only guy, so or woman, or whoever that can join these things. But if you have multiple team members, then you can kind of decide like, okay, you're the CTO, it'd be best for you to go to this. You're the CEO, I think you should be here. And then obviously letting your program team know like, hey, none of us can make this, like we had something come up. I mean, I've had founders get COVID during program. I've had founders have family deaths, family illnesses, things with their kids, like we're all human beings. We know that stuff comes up and your program team is there to support you. And we understand that there are going to be times that you may miss something. So we're respectful of that.
One thing I was just going to add too is we specifically build an entire week into our program that's a travel home week. So we obviously, because we run from September to December, the span of our program overlaps Thanksgiving. And that's when we're specifically very focused and honing in on your pitch deck for demo day. And so we work around that. And for that week, we try and go as light as possible on programming. We're still keeping up our pitch practice and things like that. But we heavily prioritize mental health and mental well-being. You know, we are a physical health accelerator. So that's something that we are focused on, all of our founders are focused on. So that's why we kind of incorporate that week-long time where our founders can travel home, they can stay here. And it really has provided a little bit of relief heading into demo day as our founders are getting ready for that, a little bit of a stressful time during program.
Awesome. We have time maybe for 2 more questions. So Aziz says, I'm building a government-based project. Though I have a concept on the ground, does Techstars help connect to government? So how do the connections work with investors, mentors, alum, or just reaching out to your managing director about needing help with a specific connection?
Yes, I would say, I mean, like anything is possible. We connect our companies to lots of different organizations, whether it's government, like, or big co's.
So I mean, we're partnered with 2 city organizations. So our county and our city are invested partners in our specific program. So like I said before, we are very connected across not only the US, but you know, and other countries as well. And so if there is a connection that you need, I would say 99.9% of the time, somebody within our program is able to connect you or find out somebody within our Techstars network who can get that connection done. And so I think the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. I feel like I would need a little bit more clarity on your question.
Last question here. Can you 2 share a little bit more about post-program support? What does that look like at Techstars?
I'll let you start, Jordan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Techstars has an entire portfolio services team built out to support our portfolio companies post-program. So not only do you have that resource for you, you always have access to Techstars Universe, like Gabby talked about earlier, the Tulip platform, which is amazing. Our team has spent the last couple of years really building that out with portfolio company feedback. So it's built for the founders, by the founders. And so it's really a great resource that Techstars has to offer our teams as they're exiting program. Not only that, but Techstars is rolling out practice areas. And so I'm really excited that my managing director, Trey Bowles, and I will be heading up the Techstars health practice. So what we're doing is we're trying to develop practice areas that combined accelerators into focus groups, so that all of the accelerators that are investing in healthcare companies can all kind of be under one umbrella, so that if you are a exited team and you're looking for connections to mentors or investors, you have a team that's there to work with you based on your focus to connect you within Techstars after your experience going through program. A lot of times, the team that you went through the accelerator program with may no longer be with Techstars. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring all of the portfolio companies that are in focus areas together to make sure that they're still plugged in, that they still have access to the network that we have at Techstars. So we'll be rolling those practice areas out in 2024.
Love it.
Awesome.
I'm not even sure I have anything to add after that. I think that's perfect.
I think that was great. We ran out of time, guys. Thank you to our audience. Thank you so much for coming. Just Jordan and Gabby, do you want to quickly say, where can founders reach out to you?
Yes, I was just going to say, so I know that we didn't get to answer everyone's questions. I saw a lot more in the chat. And so if you guys want to reach out, that's my LinkedIn. You can send me a message there. I also can put my email in the chat. I can't promise that I will get back to you guys immediately, but I will try my best. My inbox is really crazy right now, but always happy to help.
Same for me. Please send me an email. I also earlier dropped the link to our Techstars Physical Health Fort Worth application in the chat. Our applications are currently open until May 22nd. So our team is taking a look at those applications now. They just opened on Monday. So we're really excited to see those come in. Please email me, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and happy to talk further.
And if you do want to email any additional questions to us, you can also email startups@techstars.com. and I'm always looking at my emails, always responding, and also feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. So thank you all so much once again, and we'll see you on the next one.